So how do you decide what the right thing to do is? It seems like a simple question, but the answers philosophers have come up with are, well, they're anything but. Today, we're going to explore the core theories that guide how we act, how we make those tough calls. Let's dive in.
No, really, just think about it for a second. When you're facing a tough choice, a real moral dilemma, what's your internal compass? What's the little voice in your head telling you to do, and why? It's a question we all answer every single day, whether we realize it or not.
For most of us, most of the time, we run on a set of rules just like these. They're kind of like the software that keeps society from crashing. But here's the thing. These rules tell you what to do, but they don't really explain why. What's the deep principle behind them? And what happens when these rules crash into each other, or when they just don't give you an answer?
Okay, so to find that deeper principle, our first stop is an idea that tries to create one single powerful test for any action. The whole idea is that for a rule to be a moral rule, it has to work for everybody, everywhere, no exceptions.
This is the principle of universalizability. And you've almost definitely heard a version of this your whole life. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule. It's all about being impartial. You don't get to make a special exception just for yourself. If it's wrong for someone else to do it, it's wrong for you to do it too. Simple as that.
The philosophical heavy hitter behind this idea was Immanuel Kant. He gave it this very serious name, the categorical imperative. And that just means it's a command you have to follow, period. You have to be okay with the rule behind your action becoming a universal law for all of humanity.
But here's the catch. This is a brilliant test for consistency, but it doesn't actually tell us what rules to be consistent about. It gives us the structure, the form of morality, but not the actual substance, not the content. I mean, you could consistently be a person who helps old ladies cross the street, or you could consistently be a person who just minds their own business. Both of those pass the test, so we still need something to tell us which one is better.
So if a big, grand, universal rule isn't the whole picture, maybe the answer isn't so complicated. Maybe it's way more personal. Maybe the right thing to do is simply whatever's best for you.
This brings us to a theory called ethical egoism. Now, this argues that the morally right thing to do is whatever promotes your own long-term advantage. But hold on, this isn't just about do whatever you feel like. It actually comes in two very different and pretty fascinating flavors.
So on one hand, you've got the ancient Greek Epicureans. Their goal? Pleasure. But their method might surprise you. They figured the best way to get the most pleasure was to avoid pain. So that meant living a simple life, a life of calm withdrawal. Don't get too attached to people or things because losing them causes pain. Then, on the other hand, you've got the modern philosophy of Ayn Rand. Here, the goal is to pursue your own rational self-interest. But, and this is a huge but, you have to respect that every other person has the right to do the exact same thing. So you have zero right to murder, steal, or enslave others on your path to happiness.
Okay, so we've gone from a universal rule for absolutely everyone to a personal rule for just one person, yourself. Now, let's just pivot completely. What if the right action has nothing to do with you personally, but is all about creating the best possible outcome for everyone else?
This is utilitarianism, sometimes called the general good theory. The idea is simple but super powerful. The best action is the one that produces the best total consequences, the greatest good for the greatest number of people. It's kind of like a moral calculator. You just weigh the options and choose the one that maximizes happiness for the whole group. But this simple idea leads to some seriously tough dilemmas.
Okay, imagine a house is on fire. You can only save one person inside. One is your father. The other is a famous physician who is literally on the verge of curing a disease that could save thousands of lives. A pure utilitarian would have to say you should save the physician. It creates way more total good, right? But does that feel right to you? Or how about this one? You're with a dying explorer, and you promise him you'll use his last bit of money to raise his kids. But when you get back home, you realize nobody knows about this promise, and your own family is really, really struggling. A utilitarian calculation might say the greatest good comes from breaking that promise and helping your own family. Suddenly, consequences are in a direct fight with our sense of duty.
And this one reveals the sharpest edge of the problem. A judge knows for a fact that a man is innocent of this specific crime. But he also knows the guy is a dangerous criminal who will definitely cause a lot of harm if he's released. From a purely greatest good point of view, convicting the innocent man protects the greatest number. But that just feels fundamentally wrong, doesn't it? It completely clashes with our ideas about justice. So these dilemmas, they really highlight a huge problem with judging every single act on its own. So in response, philosophers refined the theory. They came up with an upgrade, a sort of utilitarianism 2.0, designed to solve these exact kinds of problems by focusing not on the act itself, but on the rule behind it.
So the crucial difference here is between act utilitarianism and rule utilitarianism. The first one, the act version, is what got us into trouble. It looks at each act in a vacuum. But the refined version, rule utilitarianism, asks a totally different question. What are the consequences if we make this a general rule for everyone to follow? See, a rule that says judges should convict innocent people sometimes would be disastrous. It would destroy all trust in the law. The consequences of the rule would be terrible.
So, rule utilitarianism gives us a pretty satisfying answer. Don't just do the act with the best outcome, you should follow the rule that has the best outcome if everybody followed it. And this seems to solve our problems, right? We don't convict the innocent person because the rule of justice leads to the best consequences for society as a whole.
And this feels like a really good place to land. It makes sense. But what if the entire focus on consequences, on the future, is the problem itself? What if some things are right or wrong for completely different reasons that have nothing to do with the outcome?
And this brings us to our final big idea. These theories argue that to figure out if an act is right, you don't look forward to see what's going to happen. No, you have to look backward, to the past, and at the nature of the act itself.
And this way of thinking gives us a totally different way to solve those dilemmas. You save your father, not because of some calculation about the future, but because of a duty of gratitude for everything he's done for you in the past. You keep your promise to the explorer because of a duty of fidelity. You made the promise. That's it. And you don't convict the innocent man because of a duty of justice. He deserves to be treated based on what he did, not as a pawn for some future good. The fact that he's innocent is the only thing that matters.
So we're left with this final question, and it's all about you. What guides your conduct? Is it a universal rule you think everyone should follow? Is it your own rational self-interest? Is it about creating the greatest good for everyone? Or is it about duties you have based on the past? There's no easy answer, but the one you land on, well, that's what defines your moral code. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.